Hey there, I want to welcome you to Cure or Manage Your Stress. My name is Dan Spicani. I'm your stress and success expert. I'm excited that you're here because that means you're in the 5% that will actually change their lives through what we're teaching here. I've had the privilege of teaching all over the United States and Canada and internationally to dozens of countries online. I teach people how to lower their stress, how to manage their emotions, and what is the purpose of life, and how does this all work together. We have an opportunity here because if you're an American, that means 3 out of 4 of you have physical symptoms caused by stress. 3 out of 4 Americans have fatigue, headache, upset stomach, muscle tension, change in appetite, teeth grinding, change in sex drive, feeling dizzy. Should I go on? High blood pressure, high diabetes, slow digestion, all these metabolism problems caused by what? Stress. Physical symptoms caused by stress. And that was me, or I wouldn't be here today. You know, almost 20 years ago, I was diagnosed with clinical depression. I was told I had upper hiatal hernia and digestive problems. I had jaw pain, they called TMJ or TJM, or I don't know. I was told to take drugs the rest of my life. I prayed for wisdom. I felt like there was something I was missing. I looked at these prescriptions and thought, there has to be more. There has to be something else. I have to be missing something. You know, I talk about cure or manage your stress, and I knew that they were just trying to manage my symptoms, but they wouldn't tell me the cause of my stress. They couldn't tell me the cause of my stress. And it caused me to really hit bottom. And I came to the end of my rope, and I wanted to let go. And I knelt and I prayed for wisdom. And I prayed, if you could show me the cause of my stress, I'd help people find the cause of theirs. Well, I'm on mission for the last 6 years, helping people lower their stress, manage their emotions, change their lives, change their habits, and find their purpose and the meaning of life. I'm doing this as an answer to a prayer and returning a favor that was given to me. For the last 19 years, I've studied everything I could on psychology and emotional intelligence and belief systems, and you name it. I have helped tens of thousands of people improve their lives, lower their effort, increase their results, break out of depression and anxiety, patterns of behavior that they've had since they were little kids. And I'm seeing the fruit of that today. So I'm here today kind of as a return favor. You know, many attendees would attend the live trainings I would do and ask, do you have a recording? Will you do a coaching program? And you know, I've done some coaching, but many times the cost is so high that the people can't afford the rate I have to charge to be able to do it. And so this is kind of me coming back. We're doing 4 videos here. And in the last video, we talked about E plus R equals O. And if you haven't seen that video, I ask you to go back and watch it, because that's the foundation for everything. Event plus response equals outcome. Your stress is a response to an event or a perceived event, and there are 5 parts to your response. And today we're going to talk about what precedes that, what's outside of that, because there are 4 common ways of managing your response, but I found a master key in my 19 years of study, and it was in every psychology book. It was in every emotional intelligence book. It was in everything I read, but no one told anyone how to use it. It seemed that nobody taught that if you just fix this, it precedes the events and the outcomes. It supersedes the outcomes, precedes the events. You can use the 4 keys, but that 5th key changed my life. And that's what I've been doing. It's not a theory. It's worked in the past. It's working now, and it'll work in the future, because your brain was set up and designed with order in mind. You know, everything on earth has order to it. And there's an order to how your brain works. And if you would just understand how your brain works, you can unlock it. Think of a computer. You have a Macintosh or you have a Windows computer. Now, the hardware is the same, but the software is different. And if you don't know how to navigate the software, you may not get the benefits of the hardware. Well, if you're here today, you're human, and that means the hardware is the same. And I'm going to show you how you can write your own software. The hardware works. It's the software that's the problem. Again, this is not a theory. The thing you have to understand before we ever learn the master key is that, kind of like a computer, you have an operating system running in the background, whether it's a Windows or an Apple. And then you have applications that you use in the foreground. And so many times, all you focus on is the stress. the window that's open, the app that's on your phone right now, but you don't pay attention to the operating system running 24 hours a day. That operating system is called the limbic system, or the unconscious brain. And 85 to 99% of all your reactions are based in that. So if we're never taught how to program that, how to unlock it, no wonder so many people feel trapped. No wonder so many people are taking prescriptions. I think of some of the people that have attended my seminars, and this is Laura from Minnesota. Now, I'll confess, this is a little bit humbling because of the way she came at me. Her first line was, "I'm sorry I cried through your seminar." And I remember teaching this, and she had sent me an email like the next day. I was teaching in about 75, 80 people, which is an average size, medium-sized seminar for me. And it's kind of a big group. You don't notice every person. And as a professional trainer and speaker, there's a level of numbness I need to have to movement and cell phones going off and, just normal noise in a room that size. And so when I started to read this, she said, "I'm sorry I cried through the second half of your seminar yesterday." And I thought, "You did?" I didn't notice. But here's what she said. She said, weeks earlier, she was hospitalized with depression and anxiety, diagnosed with bipolar disorder and some other disorders. She was put on multiple prescriptions. She came to my seminar looking for hope. And when I have 5 or 6 hours with a group, I can really break down what's happening and show them how it works. And then they get their own revelations. That's the beauty of this. I don't cure anybody. They cure themselves. Let me say that again. I don't cure anybody. They cure themselves. But someone sometimes needs to be shown how to do it. And so I get to share some teachings about the master key. And we got to that point in the class about midday, just after lunch. And I show a video that really helps people connect in a very easy and fun way on how to unlock your brain, and that it does not take 21 days. That change is instant. Getting the change to take root could take 21 days, 80 days, 100 days, 10 years. But change is instant. People tried to quit smoking, tried. Then one day, unknowingly, they applied the master key and they quit smoking cold turkey. How many people know someone like that? And that's what happened to this young lady. She said she heard the training, she was following along, it made sense to her. And then I showed the video and she tried it right there in the class. Well, let me try that. And she said it was the first time in years she felt peace. She said the anxiety shut off, the depression left. As she wrote this, she was off all medication. She's quitting. Her life changed. She followed up with me again and told me she still had some financial woes, but she now has hope that she could overcome them. They're not overwhelming to her anymore. And she went on to say some other things, and her life changed that day simply because she was shown the truth on how her brain works. Paul from New York, I love Paul because he's an example of someone who wasn't in a clinical depression or anything, but he was kind of feeling like many people feel, trapped in life, didn't like his job, felt like he was going nowhere, didn't really have a positive outlook. He came to my seminar. In fact, his boss, I think, paid for it, which is great. And one of the side effects of understanding how the system works is you might just find your purpose. And here's why. Your body cannot lie. I can lie to you, you can lie to me, but my body can't. Body tells the truth. And so many times as we go through these teachings, people will get insights to what their purpose is. And that's what happened to Paul. He got in alignment with what his true purpose was, and he went from hating his job, hating his life, to figuring out how to respond differently. And now Paul's got multiple promotions, his income has changed, his life has changed, and certainly his outcomes are changing. And so, this whole thing about managing stress or curing it, it's not just about stress, it's about feedback. It's about understanding what your purpose is. I went to a massage therapist recently for our anniversary. We're celebrating 20 years of marriage. And, if you ever had a massage, they'll ask you, do you have any trouble spots? Like your back sore, or this and that. And the only trouble spot I had was in my heel. Now, I will tell you, I wear good shoes. very expensive shoes, and I had bought new inserts. I even bought a new pair of shoes because my heel was just hurting. And as someone who stands a lot, that was pretty painful, pretty annoying. And so I said, well, my heel hurts, but you're not going to massage my heel. Well, what's interesting is as he went and worked on my legs and that, he found a spot in my upper calf just below my knee. And when he pressed it, my body couldn't lie. It went nuts. I started breaking out in a sweat. I started even like screaming a little bit, like, oh my gosh, people, if there was anyone in the other rooms, they would have wondered what was going on. But he said, Dan, your problem's just below your knee and your calf. The symptoms in your heel. And that's what's happening in people's lives. They're so focused on this pain. They're so focused on this anxiety. They're so focused on this depression, but the source is somewhere else. So one of the benefits of me working with a lot of clients live is I kind of feel around their psyche, and I know the 7 areas to push on. And we move over here, and if your body doesn't react, cool. We move over here, no reaction. And then what happens, we touch this spot and you react. So your body can't lie. It was created for order and purpose, and if there's something not in purpose, it's going to react in a predictable way. And so many times I'm just like that massage therapist, just massaging your unconscious, and when you get the biggest reaction, maybe the most uncomfortable one, sometimes most painful, sometimes the most joyful, that's information that you need to know to lead, to manage the rest of your life. You know, a lot of people say, well, I'm diagnosed. Here's what I know. I'm not a medical doctor. I have a lot of respect for people in medicine. Here's what I do know. America is only 4% of the world population, okay? So of all the people on the planet, we're 4%. Would you know that we're consuming over 60% of the world's prescriptions? I don't have to be a doctor to know that's out of balance. I know that when we look at psychotropic drugs given to children, about 10 to 13% of American children are given drugs, and it's rising every year. Let's look at other developed countries. France. How many of their students are given drugs, psychotropic drugs? Would you believe it's less than 0.5%? I don't have to be a medical doctor to know that's way out of balance. My heart breaks for parents with kids who have been diagnosed. You know, the best story I ever heard was a new friend I just met recently. And he was sharing about raising his kids. His oldest is 18 now, and he's raised several kids and several adult children. And he was telling me how when his son was around 12, 13, they diagnosed him with some disorder and wanted to put him on a drug. And this was the best response I ever heard, because he was kind of, you know, street smart. And he said, I decided I would take the drugs first and see how they affect my brain before I give it to my son. He had shared with me that as a young man, he had dabbled with some experimental drugs, done a little cocaine, smoked a little weed. He said it had nothing on these drugs they tried to give my son. He said, I was tripping. It was crazy. He said, I would not give that to my son. I love that. He said, put it in my mouth first. Let's see it. Here's what I know. I'm not here to tell you, diagnose you. I believe it's your brain. You might as well take responsibility for it. And if it's not the event that causes my stress, but it's my response to it, I can take responsibility for that. Can't control what happens to me, but I can own my response. So I'm going to ask you, have you taken responsibility for your life? You know, there's no books titled Blame Your Way to Happiness, Blame Your Way to Self-Control, Blame Your Way to Success. Maybe I'll write one soon. There's not, because blaming someone else for why you're stressed doesn't work. It doesn't free you. It makes you more of a victim, because all the power I have in my response, I give to someone else, to an event, to another person. It's possible for you to change your response. And some of these folks have had responses since they were little kids, thought it was who they were. Once you start understanding the operating system and you understand how to unlock it, you're going to find the truth. I can't fix you or heal you. You can't know. It's your choice. I can't be on this webinar for 5 hours and 6 hours at a time. But what I can do is, for those who really want the change, I can offer you access to me through the internet, and we're going to kind of do a group thing so that it's a lot more affordable. Just imagine what it would be like if you could change your response to something that normally causes you stress, anxiety, or depression. So look for that in the next video. It's going to be limited, and here's why. There's only so much space and there's only so much bandwidth, and I need to keep it controllable on my end so that every person involved gets what they're looking for. So it's kind of going to be like a college class where there's going to be a time for registration, and then registration is going to close, and then we're going to start. I'm not going to let people start halfway in, and there's very specific reasons for that. Imagine if I gave you 6 numbers and said that will open that safe, but I didn't tell you what order to put the numbers in. Would you have an easy time unlocking the safe? No. You'd keep trying combinations, and then what would happen? You'd get frustrated and quit. You have to put it in the order.